Hello, welcome to your reading, and I haven't even decided which reading I'm going to do yet. Isn't that wild? Because everyone bought these on the same day. Who will I do first? 1 second. Okay. Okay. So let's get down to business. Start the timer. I've been slacking. This is only my second reading of the night. Should be my third or fourth by now. Third easily. I chose you, my Romanian friend, Roxana Alexandru. Și vreau să vorbesc doar în limba română. Aveți luna în pește și soare în Capricorn în conjuncție cu Neptune și ascendent în Taur. Și aveți Mars in Scorpion in fuck you say house. Casa 7 cu Pluton. Interesant. Și eu folosesc whole signs. Don't worry, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do this for a few more minutes to ease your anxieties. Wow, și aveți North Node în pește în conjuncție cu luna în pește. Wow. Și chart ruler este Venus cum eu. Wow. Cum eu în Vărsător. În conjuncție cu Midheaven. Și multe planete în casa nouă. Și okay. So I'm going to finish my roundup. Saturn și Uranus în 8 și Bacul 4 în Leo și Part of Fortune Leo, Fortuna Leo. Ok, asta este regular pentru clientele meu. Să are Chiron în Gemini. Okay. So yeah, interesting. Well, that really felt good. I wish I could like do a whole reading in Romanian. I probably could like kind of do it, but once I just get descriptive, it's pretty hard. But yeah, so I was saying like, you know, having Chiron, that'd be really funny if you like didn't speak any Romanian. You like just were born here and you moved to England at like 1 or 2 and you just didn't even speak it and you just didn't understand anything I said. Whatever, you definitely speak Romanian. So yeah, having a lot of people, a lot of clients of mine I've noticed have their Chiron in Gemini, and it comes, you know, it comes and is in opposition. No, is it okay? So what happens, and let's see if there's any. It squares your moon. I literally didn't even. I literally was like gonna talk about your moon, and then the fact that it fucking squares your moon, that's when you know you're good. So I was literally just gonna say that the fact that you're a Pisces moon, and that you have your Sun conjunct Neptune, you're a very Neptunian person. So you're very different. You know, you probably, and you grew up in Romania. So I don't know where you grew up. I'm assuming you grew up in Romania and you live in the UK. I think that's what you told me. I can't remember anything anyone ever tells me. But I know you don't live in Romania. I don't think so. I think you live in the UK. You moved when you're 16. I don't know. But basically, oh shit, I have to write this down. Sorry. You're Pisces moon. You're like, I understand you. I have to write this. affections to current astro. I just had an idea of something I need to add to a different reading. Don't know how that, don't even try to think about how like my brain was there when I was talking about this. I have no idea. But anyways, so yeah, like basically Chiron in Gemini has to do with pain around like feeling like you can express your truth, like you can really be yourself, like you can, because like you can really like some people that have Chiron Gemini, like they grow up, they think that they learn to like not trust their thought processes, like they kind of think like they're like some of them like have this internalized thought that like I am stupid, or like my way of thinking is bad. And I knew right away when I saw it, I was like, you have a very unconventional chart. You're Pisces moon, the most imaginative moon sign, right? And then you have your sun. Yeah, you're a Capricorn. Well, guess what? It's conjunct Neptune. Like nearly all of my, I think I told you, it was you or someone else. Like nearly all of my Capricorn clients have sun conjunct Neptune. It's like clockwork, like literally like clockwork. It has to be over 80% of them. Like seriously. Sun or moon conjunct. If they have moon in Capricorn, it's like, well, more the sun actually, more the sun. But with the moon, I've seen it too. But yeah. So basically, having your sun in Capricorn, this combination, it's gonna make you feel like different. Like you're sensing the world in a way different, in a way more spiritual, imaginative, dreamy way than the rest of people, which can make you feel like an outsider, right? This is just like I literally was like in my head before I looked. I was like, I bet you she has some kind of Uranus square too. I thought it was gonna be your sun, but it was your moon square Uranus and Saturn. So moon square Uranus is gonna add to this kind of this like just being different, right? Being different, just like not like the other ones, being very rebellious, which can also be difficult for emotions. I have a lot to tell you about the Pisces moon. Before any of that, I'll say that usually get this crystal out. So Capricorn and Pisces, it works. They're sextile signs, they're two-way, it works. But it works even better. You're very Pisces. That's your dominant sign, because Neptune rules Pisces and Neptune's conjunct your sun in Capricorn. So you're like a Neptunian Capricorn, right? Like unlike any other kind of Capricorn. Mercury's right there too. Conjunct Neptune, right? So it's like if you're still a Capricorn, right? But like if we were to say that you're Capricorn / Pisces, it'd be like your Mercury, then you'd have 3 planets in Pisces, right? Including the North Node. So clearly in this lifetime, and North Node is like where you're trying to get to in this lifetime, like from like a destiny standpoint, like clearly you're trying to become more spiritual, more compassionate, more like with the oneness, the oneness of all that is, and deepening your spiritual being. That's why you have the birth chart, karmically why you have this birth chart. So yeah, you're always going to be someone who stands out. Even your Venus in Aquarius, you'll be someone who values like kind of like you just don't give a shit what other people think of you, right? But then the Taurus Rising, this water, it's the best water literally in the world. It's kind of expensive. I don't give a fuck because this is the best shit ever. I know I'm cussing so much. Keep it professional. Okay, so the Taurus Rising part, though, and I can share your chart, share the screen. Let's take a look. So Taurus Rising, 25 degrees. Isn't that on? 1 second. That's typically gonna make you like that. So that is a different energy, but it still gets along well. It's still a sextile. You have a moon sextile your ascendant, right? So and it trines your sun. So your big three are like this perfectly working machine, like all going the same direction, all complementing each other. Unlike someone like me who has sun square moon, right? Sun in Pisces, square moon in Sag with Leo rising, which is like, you know, you feel like there's like a split, but for you, there's not a split, at least so far. But very feminine energy in your chart, right? Even Mars in Scorpio, obviously it's a very dominant psychological energy, but still it's in a feminine sign. So, and then you have one air and any fire. I don't see any for personal planets. Jupiter, yeah, Jupiter and Aries can be fiery, but yeah, you lack fire. But but anyways, basically, like, yeah, the Taurus rising can be kind of just chill. Make you have like a Venus ruled chart. Slow and steady wins the race. It definitely adds like a very, it's like a blessing from the heavens that you have this, because Pisces moons need grounding and they need that earth influence somewhere in their chart. And to have it as your rising in Taurus is perfect. And I'm not sure if there's, I think there's some fixed star there. Yeah, I was right. Algol, shit. What does Algol Rising do? I never even thought about that. But okay, so you have Algol, which is like one of the most difficult asteroids, or excuse me, fixed stars in all of astrology rising. But don't worry, it's not always a bad thing. Algol can be, and we'll look and see what it says to ascend. It can make people very violent and very vicious and evil, but it can also be like it's like a snake. You know how like a snake represents like high spiritual energy, like, or like, you know, so like there's that really mystical side to a snake, but they're scary. So it's like kind of about like getting past fears, right? And then you have that Jupiter in the 12th house, which gives you like spiritual protection. So it's actually kind of a good combination. So yeah, super spiritual chart, super unconventional. And yeah, so slow and steady, kind of liking to kind of see how other people move before you make your move, just in general in life. You know, lacking fire in a chart, sometimes you kind of need a kick in the butt to like self-start. But you know, being a Capricorn in general, regardless of whatever of the other stuff, you're going to be someone who's able to like really, like, once you do set your mind to what you're doing, you're able to really power through it. But the fact that it's conjunct Neptune kind of creates an energy where it's like you have to be in your midheaven is, you know, conjunct your Venus, so you could be an artist, like someone whose like life purpose is art in some way, like in a very unconventional kind of art, in Aquarius. But like, you know, you're really a very super compassionate, intuitive person, and this can be, obviously it's a great thing, but you need to spend alone time, which, you know, maybe maybe you don't know, but Pisces energy in general, it in Neptune also, like it, and of course, you know, you do have Earth with your, excuse me, you have a ton of Earth in your chart, right? You have all your Capricorn energy, which is conjunct Neptune. It's still Earth, so it's like this is actually really, really good, because it's like you have like these, like the high spiritual, imaginative, compassionate energy, but then you have this groundedness to where you're not just like floating off and daydreaming all day, right? In fact, your chart's kind of like pushing you to be a dreamer. Like you're meant to dream in this lifetime. To kind of, South Node in Virgo can be a little bit like past life tendencies of being kind of too in the real, like that in the real world. I'll show my beautiful face since I'm just joking. Show my face. Okay. So yeah, the South Node in Virgo in the 5th house, yeah, it could be a little bit like keeping to itself, very success oriented, consensus reality, you know, not trusting enough of it's, I don't want to say finding God, because I know you're Romanian and I don't know about your religion. I know that some Romanians are very rebellious, which you with your Uranus square, maybe, you know, there's some rebellion towards your mom, maybe it has something to do with religion, who knows? I know a lot of Romanian women who are like that, whose families kind of like try to push religion down their throat a little bit, although it's like that in a lot of places. But yeah, I don't think Romania is that bad compared to like Arabic countries and stuff. Yeah, but anyways, like Pisces Moon, it's just like supreme imagination, and there's this massive need for you to pick your friends and pick your environments that you live in, the places you stay, who you live with. All that stuff is so important, because what can happen is that the boundaries between you and other people can be dampened, can be lessened, right? And being such an empath, that let's say you're working as like, because like I imagine your career is linked to helping the world in some way, or at least, or it could be like in technology or creativity, but like, you know, you're definitely, you're here for very spiritual life purpose. And what can happen is that, let's say you're working as like a psychologist, right? Just a random example. You would be so empathetic that you could take on negative energies really easily, right? And this can lead to burnout in any career, in any, you know, even just like with friends. So one thing I tell all my Pisces people or Neptune people is like, take some time, like when you're with someone, right? You probably learned this already, or when you're somewhere, anything, and you feel your energy within you shift. First of all, it could be very, very powerful to learn. You got your Mars and Scorpio, so you probably are you know, going in a direction of like doing things like Kundalini yoga, or like, you know, different ways where you can learn to kind of protect your energy. And you have this beautiful Jupiter in the 12th house, which I have too, and that is protecting you during sleep from any kind of energetic attacks. It's protecting you from energetic attacks. It's like your guardian angels are right there. Don't fuck with Roxana. But yeah, the same thing, like, you know, and also like alone time, you probably really are someone that loves it. Because Jupiter in 12th house, you know, you expand a lot. My cat's in a cute way. You expand a lot through your time alone, and even in like the darkest times in life, you can tap into this, like when you get that time alone, you can tap into this like well of optimism. I'm gonna be right back. I just need to empty this cup, refill it. One sec. I'm still talking. You can tap into this like well of optimism even during the darkest of times, right? But as we know, like a Pisces moon is, you know, it's very like changeable. I call it like a chameleon, right? But like it can sometimes take on, for the good and for the better. Like, it's so empathetic, it can feel the pain, like literally, like at such a deep level, feel the pain of other people, feel the pain of the world. But you know, of course, it's a double-edged sword, as I've been explaining, right? So how, you know, the question becomes like, how do you deal with that? You know, how do you not be so affected? And you know, it's not like an easy answer, but you know, Jupiter definitely will help you from anything. Like if you're working in any kind of job or career that involves, like, you know, like you know, compassion and kind of like being around like hardships, it's gonna definitely help you not take on bad energies, right? But still, regardless of that, you have a Pisces moon, and you can be very highly impressionable. So now let's talk about love a little bit, right? Because we're not on a topic, but like I'm going to talk about love, because the moon sign, in my opinion, as an astrologer, is the most important thing when as it relates to love and astrology. I don't care what anyone says about Venus or Mars, about Venus, you know, like it's all like the moon is. I mean, they all combine, But, you know, it's really all, you know, the moon is super important because the moon is representing your emotional needs. So when your moon is in Pisces, you have an emotional need for, you know, this like deep, like kind of compassionate partner, right? Who can understand you at all your moods, because your moods will be, I have to feed my cats. Your moods will be very changeable, right? Like Pisces moons can't, you know, Esme, oprestite. Esme, Esme, Esme. Mika? You too? Okay, one second. So yeah, that's kind of like the energy there, right? It's like is that in love, you know, you have to like, it's very important to have the right partner. And sometimes people who have this placement, they can do exactly the opposite. They can go for the completely wrong type of partner, right? And it can really bite them in the ass. So what happens with a lot of people with Pisces moon, and you know, you're you know, past your Saturn return, so you probably learned a lot of these lessons, but they can see they can see someone and see only their like potential, right? And they can invest, they can have like rose colored glasses in love, and they can kind of and of course being Capricorn, which is like the sign that rules that like actually rules boundaries, is going to help you a lot with this. So this is why I keep telling you that like this earth part you have is like a blessing, because you're going to be able to be a very successful, when I say like a successful Pisces person, I mean like someone, obviously you're not a Pisces sun, but like someone who has like a good amount of Pisces in their chart and who's able to like not be swept away by the current, like that current, right? That the Piscean current. So that's very important. But yeah, back to what I was saying before. It's very important who you choose to be by your side in every context, right? And so yeah, so when you combine that with the Neptune conjunct Sun in Capricorn, it's a very in Taurus rising, you know, it's obvious that, you know, like helping people in some way is going to play a huge role in your life, right? And it's also really highly linked to your destiny or karma because your North Node's in Pisces. And so that's like the first thing, is like really like understanding that you, more than other, like most other people, like thank God you're Capricorn, right? But like even regardless, like you will be like very impacted. And it's important to like taking time alone, as I said before, like taking time alone and like doing meditations. You definitely like need to meditate. If you're a Pisces, it's like a waste. If you don't meditate, the Pisces, like having like a chart like yours, it's like having a Ferrari and never driving it, because it's like you are naturally made for spirituality. You're naturally you know, you're gonna have these amazing outcomes, and you're gonna get a lot out of it. So you know, that is extremely important. And but like with that said, you know, even though you have like these very highly spiritual energies, the fact that you have Earth in your ascendant and your sun, it gives you that natural grounding, that natural ability to like have like, yes, this imagination, yes, this like this compassion and this and this ability to understand mysticism and all these things. And you know, of course, like you know, add the Mars and Scorpio, which is like the spiritual warrior energy, right? But then when you have the Earth, you have this amazing ability to kind of be consistent as a human. Like when I say this, people don't always understand it, but basically like somewhat, and your Pisces moon is definitely going to be like, hell no, this is not me, right? I'm going to get into the aspects in a sec, but like somewhat be able to be like a similar person, like somewhat. For you, it's very, very big somewhat, like from one day to the next. Like you're not like, if you're like, let's say you were like a Pisces sun also, like it would be very difficult for you to like get up and go to work, you know, like on like you have tons of sick days, You know, it would just be very difficult to exist in the real world, and there might be like a real, because like, and another thing with Pisces Moon and Neptune in general is this desire to escape, right? Because you're used to, on a soul level, this like high energy, right? This like almost heavenly realm. That's like what you're used to, and you come down to earth and everything's all fucked up. So that's like where, you know, the Pisces person, you know, a lot of Pisces are drug addicts or musicians, or like high. It's like either like it's like there's a quote that's like, the drug addict swims in the sinks in the same waters that the artist swims in, right? So it's like that's a very good quote for Pisces, right? So yeah, learning to cope with the reality of the world and protect your own energy is super important. And yeah, picking and choosing, and you know, with your, like, who you're with, especially in relationships, that's highlighted a lot in your chart, relationships, because like Juno, you know, having that in Pisces also, and with your moon there, you know, in 11th house, it would make me think, you know, in Mars and Scorpio, that you definitely would there's a lot of passion and intensity that goes in your relationships. I mean, you have freaking Mars and Pluto in the 7th house, right? Scorpio. So, and Placidus would be the 6th house. I use whole signs. So basically, like, you know, you will be someone who will find a lot of their own shadow. And this is not alcohol, just so you know. I just use this cup. It's a kombucha. But you'd be someone who, experiences a lot of their shadow, and maybe some like disruptions, maybe some like battles, who knows what, right? Like in relationships, like that's just kind of how it goes, right? So yeah, and as a very sensitive Pisces moon, you can be hurt very easily. So that's why, you know, when I see Juno in Pisces, like, you know, a partner who understands that sensitivity is extremely important, and and also they don't have to be like that themselves, but understands like the changeability of your moods and whatnot, right? Because when we talk about like Uranus and Saturn square moon, basically, and which one's closer? Saturn. So the Saturn square moon, I mean, both like Saturn and moon in hard aspect relates to like depression, periods of depression, melancholy, issues of self-esteem. Of course, so this is one that got a lot. This is like one reason why after your Saturn return, things felt way lighter for you, most likely. But having moon, like, look, I think your mother probably, it's probably your mother, or whoever the most dominant, usually it's the moon is the mother. The difficult karma that probably, like, you know, you've had to really like work to escape, even though it's conjunct your north node, which kind of also speaks to how, if like whatever, you'll know what parent I'm talking about, but like making things right with that parent is also one of the highest things on your karmic list, right? But the square with moon and in Saturn, it can bring up, especially in the first 30 years, like lots of like inner restrictions, inner feelings like I'm not enough. And when your moon is in Pisces, there is already this confusion, this Neptunian fog over like who you think you are. Like it can be very difficult for self-esteem, which the Capricorn helps a lot. But then the Neptune fog is over the Capricorn sun. So it's kind of playing in both sun and the moon. But then the Taurus rising, that makes it seem to others like you have everything all together and figured out, and it definitely also helps you like kind of stay grounded, you know. and be consistent. Even if like within yourself, like within your emotions, you're like going like up and down, like people will have trouble seeing it. But also your moon sextile ascendant gives you an ability to, and Mercury is, let's see, Mercury is not aspecting it, but still, regardless, you know, there's definitely an ability for you to voice your emotions. But I imagine that it got a lot easier after Saturn return. Yeah. And yeah, so that's kind of ends with Saturn. Saturn deals with restrictions. And with the moon, it's like melancholy. What does my little book say with the key words? Also shyness. I didn't say that. I talked about lack of self-confidence, money issues, and if you got possible troubles in the first marriage, is with the moon in Saturn aspect. And yeah, definitely like the shyness part for sure. It could have been like very difficult to kind of reach out to different people. Now the Uranus, let's see the keywords. So that can make someone just like very like changeable up and down with their moods, extremely rebellious, like just like especially to the mother, like really not wanting to like go with tradition. And the fact that you have all your these planets, I'll share again. In the 9th house, like your sun in the 9th house, all these planets in the 9th house. I think, and I might be completely, I'm pretty sure you live in the UK. I'm like 60% sure I remember you saying you live in the UK. I know you don't live in Romania. Yeah, you're diaspora. But basically, that speaks to kind of like this international appeal, like this desire to really like seek out philosophy, seek out change, like in your life, right? Meet people with different worldviews. Like you were never meant to be someone who in 9th house who just did what others did, like you like, and who just stayed in your small little area. Like you want to explore the world, and you know, you know, as I said, it's super spiritual chart. I would be very surprised if like, you know, the rest of your life wasn't like a process of you getting more and more and more spiritual, like finding whatever your niche is. There's a million different ways you can be spiritual. It can be astrology, it can be by doing yoga, it could be by just meditating, it could be by just reading, you know, like or just having other friends, which by the way, you should message me because you do have something in your chart about a group that I have. Just that's all I'm gonna say. Just remind me that I told you something about that. Like a group, yeah, special group, very private. But basically, there's definitely an energy here. So back to Uranus, like that can be very erratic, and it can make the emotions very unpredictable. So that can be problematic. And then we have Mars in Scorpio, and it's in the house of relationships. One second. Hold on. Okay, had to deal with something. Pause, but I am back. So yeah, we understand, you know, like the issues, you know, with the mother, like most likely the mother, and the overall energy of a Neptunian chart like this, right? A Venusian rule Neptunian chart. So from the sentence I just said, I want to create some context, right, of why I think that you make such an amazing artist. Neptune is imagination. It's the creativity. It's the inspiration, right? Like imagine like Van Gogh or some random person, like what gave him the idea, you know, to create the painting. That's the Neptune. The Venus is his actual like ability to do it, right? So you having a Taurus rising with your Venus, you know, in Aquarius on an angle, which makes the Venus even stronger, indicates like how you can merge these two. And was there a link? And, you know, to couple that, you have an unaspected Venus. Interesting. And you have, you know, Mercury conjunct Neptune and Moon conjunct Neptune. So like Neptune is just like so heavy. So the inspiration is there. And then, you know, the Venus is on an angle. So like, I mean, I don't know. I could totally imagine you being like an actual artist, like where your profession is linked to art in some type of way. And if it's not, it's not, you know. But I mean, if it's not, then it's like you still find a way to incorporate beauty and flow into your everyday, into your career life, right? There's some level of like, also it's really good for money, really good for and overall success, and having like a very pleasant work space, work career, right? So I'm looking for something in this news site. So Algol is prominent in in artists. So okay, so let's talk about Algol and Ascendant. I found this awesome site. I just found it one reading ago. I'm so happy. It gives so much more information about the fixed stars. Not all of them, but at least like the big ones. Because it's Medusa's head is Algol, right? And you can read about like you can go to darkastrology.com/ just search dark star astrology in Algol, and you can learn about the mythology and all that, right? But Algol ascendant, relationships will be dramatic and intense. There can be a tendency to sex addiction. And that's also like that totally goes. Mars in Scorpio is extremely high libido, like sexual energy, right? So they have a strange kind of appeal despite not being classically beautiful or handsome. The appearance may even be shocking or disturbing at times, okay, yet still somehow alluring. Outspoken about taboo subjects. They're not afraid to be controversial. So you see how that like is just like way, you know, that's a lot further than like, let's see, like what Algol, what it would say, like on like the Astrology King, right? Because it's gonna be based on like probably like Ptolemy's work. Where is it? Algol. Okay. And it'll be like a very short sentence based on like stuff from Thou, like I can't tell you, like a long time ago. Yeah, you see, so fixed star Algol is actually good. It says ascendant conjunct Algol says just honor and preferment, and even for the midheaven, but then for the midheaven, so it's actually when you have it like with Mars or the sun or the midheaven where it can be very difficult, or even the moon. But on the ascendant, it's not bad. It's kind of badass actually, right? Like let's see some people who have ascendant with Algol. Carl Sagan, Steve Forbes, David Beckham. Come on, Bex. You're in England, right? So it'd be so funny if you were not in England at all. It wouldn't be that funny. Basically, like, yeah, there's some people. I don't know any other people in this list, but you know, Frederick the Great. We get it. So basically, you have like the I don't want to say the one. I'm sure like Algol conjunct Venus. I don't know. You have an Algol placement that's good for the arts and for being kind of badass. So back to kind of this overall energy. Like, you know, I started by speaking about Chiron, right? And I was talking about like how, you know, a lot for, you know, your healing is based on overcoming that thought that like you're like the way the things that make you different are bad, are negative, right? Disassociating from those thoughts because they're not. And that, you know, and learning to kind of have that link from heart chakra to throat chakra, and being able to speak your truth with conviction, right? And when you lack fire in your chart, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to have that kind of impulsive, like kind of that, yeah, just that shock, not shock value, but just like, I was gonna say brave, but then I'm like, she's with Mars and Scorpio, which we're gonna talk about next. But just like that, boom, impulsivity, like assertiveness, yeah, boldness. So, okay. And then Moon and Mars, energetic, resourceful, quick acting, gets projects underway without delay, good health. And that's just a trine, so I don't go too far into trines. And then your Moon is also square Chiron. So there you go. Like that completes everything. Like you have a T-square there. And that's basically saying maybe, so I'm just gonna say maybe some of that energy I just spoke about the misunderstood or feeling like you know, your way you thought was bad or wrong, maybe that came from your mother, you know. It is square your Moon. So yeah, learning to kind of disattach, and maybe like you grew up in Romania and you just like, it was so like, you know, traditional and conservative, and you just like knew, you're just one of those people that knew you just had to get the fuck out. Like maybe that's kind of how it was for you, you know. But you know, you can't really escape, you know, the karma of your first what, like 18 years, right, where you're, you know, living at home. So yeah, of course, early childhood. So moving on, you know, Mars and, you know, so Venus in you know, strongly placed there in Aquarius, and Mars in Scorpio. So Mars is your assertiveness function. So this actually goes really well. It's on your descendant, the part of the chart that rules like relationships, like close, like partnerships, like mostly like romantic ones, but also like business partnerships, or like this is the seventh house relationship. Like it will actually, like we'd have to be like live, but you know, like working with clients. But yeah, really a relationship. So Mars and Scorpio, it's like it goes really well with, like, for example, like it has a perfect trine with your Moon, as I just said. So it's like those two play off each other really well. And it also, it's trying your North Node. So it's kind of like the energy of your Mars in Scorpio is pushing you towards your highest destiny, right? Which we'll talk about later. So we've already talked about a little bit, but we'll talk about more later. So Mars and Scorpio, yeah, it's like the spiritual warrior. It's the person that has like this built-in lie detector. Like they are not the least person you want to fuck with as an enemy. Like I wrote about this in a post earlier. Wait, maybe I should like bust out that post. Which, by the way, I have a new Instagram that I've been using. And I want to read what I said about Mars in Scorpio. I think I've had it in like multiple places. Yeah. So I've seen a lot with my clients. No surprise, right? That's what I wrote. It gives this built-in lie detector where the person just knows things without knowing how they know them. They are the last people you want opposing you. I literally said all those things. They have a deep level of psychological and emotional intelligence, and they are able to go towards what they want with fervor and passion. They are very, very passionate and intimate people also in love. They go to great emotional depth with their partners. So that speaks more about like the kind of partnership you want. There has to be this intense, and we'll talk about that in a sec, like the 7th house element, this intense like soul bonding. It's like the soul bonding experience that you're seeking. So this is a very loyal placement, as Scorpio is, and a surefire sign of a truth seeker. This creates a brave individual not afraid to dip into their shadow and transform from it. The true spiritual warrior, the mysterious ones. So that's interesting. So we see how that connects to these other parts of your chart, right? And it definitely adds some bravery to the Pisces moon to create more boundaries, right, with people. And, you know, like I said, Capricorn rules boundaries, so it's not like it's that hard. But the fact that you have it, you know, with Pluto in your 7th house is indicative of, one second, it's indicative of how, take this, where's mine? One second, sorry. So it's indicative of how your shadow, how there can be lots of, like, you know, Mars in the 7th house in Scorpio, it can create jealousy and, you know, like at a low vibe, right? It can create jealousy and power struggles and stuff of that nature when it comes to relationships and partnerships. And it can create lots of battles in that area of life too. So sometimes people who have this, they feel like their relationships can feel like a battleground, right? So, and one quick second, I have to, my last stream just finished downloading, put it here. Okay, so what happens is that you know, like learning to express anger in a constructive way becomes extremely important and very, very important, right? Because with Pluto in the 7th house, and I'll bust out my Pluto book, you know, but basically, like, you know, your shadow is faced in these relationships, right? That's like where your shadow is faced. So let's see here. But yeah, it just kind of creates like more of that kind of like dark energy. And what happens, you know, when you link it with the rest of the chart, is that a lot of the stuff that you might have to do with your mother or early childhood stuff, it gets projected into romantic relationships for the most part, right? Partnerships. So what's really, like, you know, linked to some, what the fuck is 7? You know, to something, is it 7? Yeah, broken in 7. Yeah, what's really linked to something that you know has to do with you know, like early childhood slash parent, gets shown in relationships, comes out, right? So here's what I wrote. These are all, I've been using this book for like last 4 years. Like I wrote this about each Pluto house. So Pluto here is the deep and compulsive unresolved issues, emotional and psychological, from past lives and from deep within the unconscious to be played out in close one-on-one, often romantic relationships. The key issue becomes understanding the self through the mirror of others. There is a need to transform how one is in love. Perhaps they abandoned or were abandoned in the manner that romantic relationships ended. A lot of unresolved issues come up and show themselves in these close relationships. And the work/growth is in not giving up, but fighting through the issues, knowing that they are projections, or there could have been codependency. Either way, codependency, right? Like where you're like, you are nothing without the other person. Like you always have to be together. Like you feel like you don't have a personality with the other person. Either way, a healthy relationship is needed where both can trust/be free in their secure relationship. So, 1 second. I wrote, Scorpio adds some spice of deception/lies/intensity to this story. Also, it makes it, what's that word? It makes one think the relationship issues took on a, it makes one think the relationship issues take on a power struggle / manipulative trait. I can envision a fiery and compulsive up and down relationship pattern that ultimately, as I said before, arises from unresolved childhood issues. So, you see, interesting stuff. But yeah, Mars and Scorpio, you know, high sex drive also, tantra, and the kind of love you're looking for. Like I said, it's like that soul, like the deepest kind of love. And like, there's nothing in your chart, you know, like with your Juno is like your ideal mate in Pisces. That's also like, that's saying that your moon in Pisces, that's saying that your North Node in Pisces, that's, you know, that's saying that because you want to have someone that has like, you don't have to have the exact same North nodes, right? Like two people can be very independent. But like, you know, it's in the house of your Juno and your moon. So, and then Venus, right? So you have Venus on the midheaven. So super strong Venus ruling your chart. So it's chart ruler makes it strong. And then on the midheaven makes it even stronger. And it's at 5 Aquarius. Let's see if there's anything, any stars. I don't think there's any big ones there, but let's just pull up to see. And your sun, moon, okay, no, it's not. Okay. And then let's go to Jesse 2. Nothing. What's that? Ooh. Oh shit. So here's another thing. Damn. So your Mars in Scorpio is conjunct what some people, so you have what 2 astrologers, luckily your Algol is conjunct your ascendant, so it doesn't become like a really bad Algol. But you have, if you ask like probably the 2 most difficult asteroids in all astrology are, you have both of them, Algol and Serpentis. So Serpentis astrology, like, so the fact that you have that conjunct your Mars, let's see what it says here. This one will not be pretty, guaranteed. It kind of is like the lowest energy of Scorpio. So get ready. Let's see what it says. Violence, quarrels, lying, crime. Mars makes these people racy. And again, there seems to be a great deal of alcohol abuse. Although Gandhi was non-aggressive. Did Gandhi have this? Yeah, Gandhi had this. So there you go. Although Gandhi was non-aggressive, Mars ensured violence followed him. Toxic sexual relationships here too. So yeah, you gotta watch out for your health with this one too. I'm trying to look. Yeah, so there's definitely like some like alcoholism and like especially as a Pisces moon. You know, I talked about that escapist tendency. So all that energy can come out in relationships. Now, this is what's really interesting about your chart. Well, there's a lot of things interesting. Excuse me. Venus is conjunct the midheaven, but is in Aquarius. So, you know, what that can do, I have this placement, as I said, is that it's like the opposite. And is it squaring? It's not squaring. Oh, you have Venus square Pluto. Yeah. Why does it not show? It's 11. What the fuck? 1, 2. That is so weird. My program is not showing that. Like, what? Yeah, okay, you have Venus square Pluto. I have this too. So basically, your love relationships are super karmic and super intense. Venus square Pluto, it kind of makes one like like the best way I can describe it is that, and it gets way better with age, is that you tend, and you have an unaspected Venus, right? So you tend to be extremely, this is problematic usually earlier in life, extremely like, which makes me think that some of like the more manipulative signs of the parts of like the Scorpio energy may have come out. And also like, there can be lots of like confusion and stuff like that, right? When it comes with like the Neptune. So like thinking someone's like, I'm not gonna say what just happened with me and my girlfriend. She just went through my phone. I'm fucking pissed. I'm still doing my reading. But it's like, that's kind of a perfect example of like Neptune energy entering love, right? Like paranoia, thinking something's there when it's not. But Venus square Pluto is really intense. It's another showing of how your shadow goes in your relationships, and even though those people aren't responsible for it, and it just like creates like a super intense level of feelings. And because your Venus has no aspects, meaning it makes it so it's just like you're super. You could even become be like a relationship obsessed person, where that's like your end all be all. Like that's everything. You can like the people who have that sometimes like they determine like how successful or how good their life is based on like how their relationships are going, or if they're in a relationship. So yeah, with the square with Pluto, yeah, it's kind of like that. So some of the more negative traits can come out, like when you become attracted to someone, there's like this extreme intensity, right? That can come out as like very like intense infatuation or even like stalking. So this is another one of these aspects that is like, oof, I nearly said something that is incorrect, because my friend Mia, she has it at 0.00 though. But it's definitely easier, I would say, for men than for women than men to have this aspect, solely for the fact that men are typically the ones that are like, like men are the pursuers. Men are the ones that, you know what I mean? Like, so if a woman like, yeah, like women can stalk men, but it's not looked at, it's not like, the R word is going to happen like in that situation, right? Like from the woman to the man, just as an example, right? But it's still difficult as hell on an emotional level. So like this is coupled with your Pisces moon, so you're super sensitive. So when you start liking someone, you're really like, oh shit, because you feel so deeply. You're very romantic, and you can start to overanalyze everything, and you just become obsessed with it, falling in love really quickly, right? And then it's like all you think about, right? But then this is really interesting because your Venus is in Aquarius like mine. So we both have this in common. So there's a reason why you chose me as an astrologer, because I have, I've lived this, right? So right now, you're 3 years older than me. You probably don't experience this as much, but you probably had like, what happens is that it's about self-love, right? So until one is able to find that self-love, they can almost look for the worst of the worst when it comes to people, when it comes to partners, right? Like the worst of the worst. And yeah, like my friends, soul, like, little like soul sister, like level friend, like just goes for like the worst men who like try to control her entire life, like stalk her, like that, all this stuff, right? Manipulation. It's just like, but she just still, goes back to them. It's crazy. It's sad. like to the point where her, she's staying with her parents, and they like took her phone away for like 6 months. No phone, no social media. So yeah, like it's all about like death, rebirth, and transformation, and finding that self-love, right? But like what like kind of how this plays out, like how this plays out is through like the need to gain total control of the relationship because of a fear of losing it, right? So basically like manipulation, jealousy, guilt trips, possessiveness, gaslighting, all those like negative Scorpio things, lying, paranoia, starting drama, like all those can happen, right? And it's like almost like using your power to force someone to love you, which never works, right? If you like force someone to love you, like especially, like it just doesn't work, right? So but it's through these really so a lot of people like they have these in their chart and they feel lots of shame for how they were before because they mature. But this is karmic. You're meant to have all this stuff happen. Right? Because it's like it's through these intense relationships that you gain all of this self-awareness and of your like manipulative or controlling behaviors. And like I said, it can either be you doing it or you getting it back, right? And then after that, it can turn into a superpower where you use this immense power to transform how you receive and give love, right? But like the core essence of it is the realization that the self-love is the real issue. So learning to love yourself unconditionally, then it's just like, it's game over. But until then, it's like you could be, attracted to, like I said, like the dangerous types of partners who treat you badly. And it's like an unconscious thing, right? Because of the poor self-image. So Venus in Aquarius by itself, once you push the square away, it's attracted to the unconventional types in love. It needs a lot of space in relationships, but I don't see that being something like that really works with like the rest of your chart. But its love language is usually like more on giving and receiving freedom in relationships, and also unconventional relationships. Maybe like a huge age difference, or maybe like way different culture. Or maybe like just like not following the rules when it comes to that. And also, Venus rules many things, right? So in terms of artistic, it can give you a very futuristic way, a very unique way, like ahead of your time way of expressing yourself. And yeah, unconventional and odd relationships. But the key point is that you need to have the freedom to express your individuality within the relationships, right? And also these relationships, could be linked to your career in some way or to your dharma, like what you're here to do. So it could be like people who are like, someone you like meet who does the same type of work as you, or you can work with them. And it's more Venus and Aquarius, it's more about talking, and I have this too for sure. Less about like being touchy feely, even though Scorpio and Mars is totally like that, and more about talking and the connection of the mind. And it's very like, it makes you really, really love being in groups of friends and stuff like that. And your moon in the 11th house seconds that, like a love for friend groups. So yeah, then of course, with your 9th house, sun, like finding that higher philosophy is really important. I'm not going to like go into like what Capricorn sun means, how it's all about, like honor and hard work, and how every Capricorn person, when they go through their Saturn return, they feel this extreme relief because Saturn rules Capricorn. So more than like anyone, like the person that has a lot of Capricorn or Saturn in their chart, feels this massive relief. It's very, very like traditional, right? But because Neptune is there, that's actually like disrupting that and making it a mix where you're able to take like the benefit of being a Capricorn, of you know, like with a driven and motivated success, you know, and all that. But it adds like a way more like compassionate aspect to it, right? So that's that. North node, so south node, yeah, I talked about that already. Like north node in Pisces conjunct the moon is that, like, you know, you're really here to get in touch with your Pisces moon side, also to like fix the karma with your mother, whatever parent that is, but really to get in touch with that Pisces moon. You know, the north node also squares the same planets, which I have a book that talks. I need to find that book. But yeah, in the 11th house, it's like that's speaking about like how, you know, there's some level of like friend groups, you know, like some soul tribe that you're really meant to be with, right? You're really like your highest karma is to find that like tribe of like people who think like you, who see the world like you. Now, if I can only, it's 140 something if I remember correctly. Yeah. So squares to the nodes are skip steps. Maybe I'll say this in a second. But yeah, okay. So that's that. Jupiter 12th house, also, you know, really good for like getting downloads and anything related to like psychology. It just gives you more of that energy where you be the best psychologist or best like healer, you know, like healing, like a massive, like amazing healer. And yeah, let's see. Black Moon Lilith and Leo, so that's, and it's conjunct your power of fortune. So basically, like, I don't really know what that means. Basically, like Black Moon Lilith and Leo, it's like a potential. It's like when you're at your worst, when you're your lowest vibe, you might like be kind of a show off, or you might be like kind of stubborn, or even like wait, I want to actually, I just got an idea. I have this thing in my notes that breaks down each Black Moon Lilith according to a different fear. And I just got the intuition check this. I don't even check this that often. Fear of change. So Leo represents the ego, and the position they achieved is so important to them because their own ego and self-esteem is linked to it. Integration comes from understanding that change is growth. Maybe you can't always be the leader, but it's fine. Maybe sometimes you can take the second place and bring other people up. By doing so, you'll actually feel great about yourself. Now, I know that might sound foreign, but that is in the 4th house. So that is only, I feel this intuitively, or mostly related to family, how you are with your family. And also your part of fortune's down there. So, you know, that's also saying like, you know, when you're in the highest energy, so it's like the opposite. It's like when you're in the highest energy of Leo in the 4th house, like, you know, 4th house, finding joy with your inner self, you know, like new beginnings, like detaching from worldly expectations and being with family, good relationships with family, or creating a new family. And then Leo, it's like when you're like living as a shining example to others, and you know, you like you're in that authentic self-expression. You're creating art or whatever you're creating that's coming from the heart. That's just like very authentic. And yeah, also you like feel joy when you achieve like honor and success. That's like very like authentic. So yeah, vertex and the sticks, you know, your doorway to higher awareness is through service, being a service. And in Libra, that means you're gonna come off in relationships as very fair, very like you know, like wanting to keep peace in the relationship, and that's very good. I'll share this really quick. So yeah, and yeah, it's good placement. I talked about Pluto. I talked about Mars. So last two or four. Okay. Okay. So Neptune, you know, obviously it's in the 9th. So it can kind of, I mean, it's aspecting so many planets so that, you know, it's kind of, it's being very effective, obviously, you know, in your chart. It's going to give you a very different understanding of like the philosophies that you subscribe to. And yeah, like there, like in terms of like traveling and stuff like that, there can be some fog and some confusion around that. But it gives you like a very devotional attitude towards like higher learning, like that learning of acquiring of wisdom, higher wisdom, and the search for like the perfect philosophy. And also there can be some disappointment with like the realities of like travel, study, and like religion, like actual religion. So that one made me think maybe that's true. And like, yeah, the conjunction with Neptune and Mercury in Capricorn. Mercury in Capricorn, usually those people don't believe in astrology, but with Neptune, it gives you this amazing imagination that you can integrate like this ability to like really think rationally, but also think like with like an amazing imagination. Let's see what keywords it gives you here. It says impulsive personality, but also powerfully creative. Native, interested in mysticism and spiritual subjects. But like in Capricorn, it's like you're able to organize your stuff. So it's like you're not just a dreamer, you're able to like really organize and make something of it. And maybe, yeah. So yeah, I talked about Sun conjunct Neptune, obviously, like enough at the start. So then the last two things before we talk about the squares, you know, Uranus and Saturn in the 8th house. So Uranus in the 8th, so Saturn in the 8th, can make someone feel like, I guess, a little bit overwhelmed when it comes to intimacy. And even like when it comes to like studying like the esoteric or the occult or things like astrology, like it may have made you like fear your own like talents, you know, which obviously can be problematic until like the Saturn return, when those things could have cleared out. And it's in Sagittarius, so you could be very committed to higher education. And yeah, it can really restrict someone's sexual expression. So, but like this, by the Saturn return, they start to really get into it. And yeah, like being a Pisces moon, there can really be like a Pisces moon squaring it. It can really make vulnerability in that closeness and intimacy like very frightening. So you learn a lot through probing the deeper issues in life and the esoteric and all that stuff. So the Uranus there, last thing I'll talk about for the node squares, so it also rules joint ventures. So with Saturn there, you have to kind of be careful with like joint ventures if you're like in business or anything like that. With Uranus, it's just like another great one for being fascinated by metaphysics and like the deeper side of life. Like, you know, there are a lot of people that are like into like astrology have this here, or in the 8th or 9th house, Uranus, Neptune. So, and it can give you like these really amazing, like if you're meditating, which you definitely should be meditating 100%. I told you already. You can get these like these downloads that just come to you. Okay, so it was what? Uranus and Saturn, these two very planets squaring the nodes. So when Saturn squares the moon's nodes, the nature of the unresolved karmic material relates to the conditioning that the individual has been exposed to in past lives, either through the family, society, religion, or any broader, and I'll show the chart while I read this. Yeah. 1 second, actually, I need to grab something. Felix, chévere. Where's your 1 second? Felix. My cat makes me throw him the ball like a dog. but I don't know where you put it. Where's your ball, Felix? Felix, where's your ball? You even show me with your eyes. Felix, onde é ele já? Oh, you lost it. Go get a new ball. Felix, bring me the ball. Okay, anyways. Scorpio cats. So, okay. So I said the conditioning that the individual has been exposed to. So the squares, the moon's nodes. So when Saturn, let's start over. Squares, the moon's nodes, the nature of the unresolved material relates to the conditioning the individual has been exposed to, either through family, society, religion, or by any broader historical societal theme. Such conditioning then becomes the basis for repression. The skip step by the Saturn skip step can indicate a need for maturation, for taking responsibility for one's own life at a core level without succumbing to the delusory temptations of blame, excess fear, or self-control. This placement can indicate an issue of genuine guilt, an authentic sense of having done something wrong, the nature of which will be indicated by the house sign / aspect of the planet squaring the nodes and the nodal axis of the moon. I think about that one. Wait, I go back to the chart. It said, so yeah, where you feel like guilt, like you did something wrong, and the nature which can be indicated by the house sign aspects of the planet squaring the moon nodes, the nodes. So it's like, you know, it's in Sag, so, and it's in the 8th house. So it could be something related to sexuality, something. It could be some witch shit, like witch hunting stuff, where you like one of the witch that was hunted. It could be that, where you dare to challenge the status quo of, you know. And I really think it's very linked to the mother too. I mean, because it's squaring the mother and the node. But the Uranus one is going to be is going to be the one that's really linked to the node, because it's exact. The next one. So, in contrast to the introjected guilt found in the other 6th house archetype, which is internalized from others blaming or criticizing, the Saturn archetype involves the self-recognizing past mistakes and making direct reparation for those mistakes. This placement emphasizes the importance of the Saturn return. So once again, that must have been life-changing. Now, finally, last thing I'll read before we end this is Uranus squaring the nodes. When Uranus squares the moon's nodes, or also I should also read Pluto, because it's an 8th house. Yeah. So the unresolved material indicates a need for liberation from conditioning, see? And liberation from the past. This stems in part from past wounding and from exposure to excessive conditioning influences. So with this placement, the nodal axis of the moon can be understood as a trauma signature. Yeah, so this is like the witch stuff, I'm telling you. Indicating that the unresolved trauma is a critical part of the skip step. Also, I don't tell many people this, but I do know a really good psychic who lives in America who might be able to help you with, if you're interested in hearing like some more details of this. But yeah, indicating that the unresolved trauma is a critical part of the skip step. So past life trauma. Analysis of the house and sign aspects this skip step planet and aspects to the nodal axis of the moon will help identify the nature of this unresolved trauma. Once again, it's the 8th house. This placement also symbolizes a crisis and individuation. So the person has started to detach themselves from prior conditioning, but they have either not been able to maintain this process, or they remain blind to a critical aspect of how the conditioning imprisons them. I'm going to show my face again while I'm reading this. Imprisons them, which then results in a block to the true expression of their individuality. This placement can indicate a specific fear or post-traumatic stress that blocks access to the true self. It can also mark the need to reintegrate some former illumination that has been lost or resisted. There's a powerful requirement to embrace the transformational nature of the self. Regression work, like past life regression work, or depth therapy can aid in recovering deeper unconscious material, both trauma and gifts. This placement emphasizes the importance of the Uranus opposition, which happens, what, like 38 or 40 something, I forget. I'm gonna look that up. Yeah, so like there's aspects in astrology that like all coincide with like the midlife crisis. And it's around the 40s. So basically Uranus does like it has like an 80 something year orbit around the zodiac. So at 84. So at 42, that's when that happens. And that's kind of like when, yeah, like a lot of people like, and there's like a bunch of stuff that happens around that age. Neptune sextile, I think, or Neptune square. One second. Yeah, so major life transitions around that age. So not necessarily bad, but lots of healing. I want to see what it says about Neptune. It talks about. So the Neptune square is around 40 to 42. So when Neptune does, you know, because its orbit's so long that it's like what, like 160. So no one ever gets a full Neptune return, but you get a square where it travels a quarter, right? And you know, if you are like 80 or 80 to 84, you get the Neptune opposition. Obviously, it's very late in life. But yeah, basically it creates like, it's like another one where it's like the fog of life. And then there's another one, I think it's a Pluto sextile. One second. I think it's that. So what happens is in the midlife crisis, you have, okay, so Pluto square Pluto? No. Yeah. So around 36 to 38, it's different though. Pluto is weird. This Pluto square Pluto. Oh no, I was tripping. Uranus, opposite Uranus. Yeah. So yeah. So actually, people do have Uranus returns around like 80 in their 80s. So you have the Pluto square Pluto at like 36 to 38, which is like limitations on your growth, transformation, personal power. Neptune square Neptune. Doesn't look right though. I think they meant to say Pluto sextile Pluto. Disillusion, confusion, escapism, and then Uranus. So it's 42 to 44 for the Neptune, 40 to 42 for Uranus. And Uranus is feeling like is our last chance to rebel. And Pluto square Pluto limitations on your growth, transformation, personal power. Which, like, let me think. Capricorn, Sag. Yeah, because mine wasn't Capricorn. No. Mine is my Pluto's in Scorpio. So, Sag, Capricorn, Aquarius. Yeah, so it does happen. Pluto, around 36, 38. So yeah, those. So between 36 and like 44, like that's why so many people go through those midlife crises, because those really intense like transits hit. But anyways, I was gonna read the Pluto one just because it's like they're all in your 8th house. So in Pluto, or mainly a planet in the 8th house, squares the moon's nodes, the unresolved material relates to the deepest unconscious self, its motivations, compulsions, resistances, and its urge for transformation. In some ways, this is like the ultimate skip step from past lives. Pluto square the nodal axis, and I have this too, by the way, can be likened to a fork in the road, a battle between the adaptive self and the higher self, between ego and soul. This represents a fundamental encounter with the deeper unconscious forces, either to evoke radical transformation, to become trapped in psychological attachment and compulsions, or some combination of both. A critical divide in the deeper self needs exploration and resolution. Yet this placement indicates the potential, as all skip steps do in some way, for tremendous resistance to the evolutionary goal. This suggests that there's a struggle between power and powerlessness that's been playing out over lifetimes. There exists a need to identify limitations in order to transform them, as well as a need to form powerful relationships with other people, objects, or teachings that are symbolic, like astrology, of the intended transformation in the self. In this way, the self may learn by example via osmosis, absorbing the energy of otherness. The skip step may indicate a variety of power dynamics ranging from pronounced psychological disturbance to issues regarding the appropriate use of power and an inquiry into its source and origin. There may be issues of personal betrayal. I highlight that one for myself. On every level, betrayal of self and others, and being betrayed by others. Wait, betrayal of self and others, and being betrayed. So yeah, being like you being the betrayer of other people and yourself, or you being betrayed by others. Or there may exist a need to confront limitations, both of self, which can make it really hard to trust when you have that, right? Or there may exist a need to confront limitations, both self and others. This skip step demonstrates a critical juncture in the evolution of the soul, invoking a profound choice as to what to commit to in order to effect transformation. Furthermore, it implies the necessary commitment has been intermittent or lacking in the past, emphasizing a need to honor the commitments made now in order to resolve this prior inconsistency. So definitely gonna write an article about this 100%. But yeah, so that's pretty much everything. Very loaded reading. Hope you enjoyed. This one got very, very deep, very, very karmic. And yeah, if you want to schedule a follow-up, most people, they get this reading. I don't think you did a follow-up. Let me check. Oh, you did. Crazy. So yeah, we have a follow-up session. So message me when you're ready. Take your time. A lot of people have to watch this like many times because it gets so deep, and take notes and stuff. And the follow-up, we'll have it, and it'll be great, and we'll talk about everything. And after that, most people do the current astrology reading, which is like totally different than this. I don't record it unless you want me to. Actually, a lot of people, I record it, but I don't post it. And it's like a live Zoom where we talk about how, like, this current chapter, right? Like this, you only have to get this done once. it's done, whatever. The current astrology is like how all, like, I use tons of predictive techniques that I've mastered over the years to kind of explain the current chapter and what to expect over like the next year-ish. And it's something you get done each year, or you should get done each year. So anything else? Let me see one thing. Yeah. So that is it. How long did I go? Another super long one. Oh, 1:30. Yeah, it's really long. I'm trying to keep them to close to an hour, but I keep getting these very, very karmic and deep charts, so it's hard to do that. So thank you so much, and talk soon. Hope you enjoyed. Also, I have been never telling people this, so I'm gonna start to do it more. I really appreciate like any like review, even if it's just something short, either like one girl posted something in her story. I thought that was really nice, but I don't really care. Like, I don't need a pressure. I know some people like are kind of secretive about astrology, but like I always appreciate, because I never ask for like reviews or anything like that to put on my website. So yeah, anything like written, whether it's like something you post in your story or something like that you just write and just like literally like DM it to me and I just copy and paste it to my website. I mean, I appreciate that a ton, because I need some more reviews. Mine are getting pretty old. So thank you so much, and talk later. Okay, ciao. Or la vedere. Okay. And